Perfect. Members of the Sarnia Unitarian Fellowship, thank you, Teo. I really enjoy when people introduce themselves to me now and ask me what I do. I tell them I'm a storyteller. And the reactions you get are very interesting, especially from people you don't know. Some will be like, you're a what? Well, I'm a storyteller. Yeah, I'm a storyteller. And they'll, well, that's great. Well, it's been nice meeting you, Brad. And then they're gone. My very favorite one came last summer, and my wife and I, we were invited to a birthday party. So when we went to the party, it was in the backyard. It was so much fun, and they have a back porch, a little back porch, and they had a band. So the band played, and the lady whose birthday it was, she said to me, will you tell a story? And she's been very supportive of me, and I said, yeah, I can tell a story. So it got up, and they announced that Brad Gray's is a storyteller, and he's going to share a story. One man right out loud said, I don't like stories. I don't like storytellers. He walked right by me and right out to the front lawn, and I never saw him again. Yeah, it was precious. Actually, I'm at an age where that's precious now. So anyways, I did take the stage, and I did tell a myth. And after, so many people came up to me, and one gentleman in particular, he came to me and he said, you know, I honestly didn't think I was going to like that. He goes, it was amazing. He said, he gave me his email address and said, if you do this again, I really want to go. And sometimes that's what it takes to push outside for the arts. So what I'd like to share with you now is a poem that I wrote. It's an A to Z poem. It really just talks to me about what I believe in myth and the messages they send. Ancient myth, primal vein, barbaric, beautiful, told in the eye of a hurricane, the belly of a whale, crafted words forged in a universal flame. Damn the fool who does not dream, who does not wander. Damn the fool who does not to a spirit listen. Escape once upon a time. Fear the fear and you will fall the fall. Great generals of war commit crime. Captured in the lens, with the brush, by the pen, rise up, art, rise up. Heroines, heretics, halos, mythological madness, indeed. Inject that primitive hum into your soul. Javelin-tipped poems, arced high, strike hard. Rise up, art, rise up. Knots that scar the neck of the hung, adorn the tresses of the young, hold wind to sail, and oh yes, the love knot. Lust can pierce an I am spoken for like an arrow through flesh. Movement is art. Art is movement. Rise up, art. Rise up. Never strike up a conversation with a leprechaun or a kelpie or a fairy queen if time is of the essence. Orators that can carry women to the stars and put men behind bars. Pursuing audiences from village to brothel to castle. When they stop going, leaning in, clapping, the storyteller's bowl will be empty. Questions are many. Answers are few. Rise up, art. Rise up. Relax. You're in the hands of an interpreter, of an interpreter, of an interpreter. Soar to the heavens upon heavenly phrase. Trespass into the bedchamber of a queen or the heart of a peasant. Under every civilization lies myth. Under every myth lies civilization. Vixen, wrongly pursued, living in dens, star of myth. Wax, into the light, into the light, into the light, and feast upon her heavenly glow. Wane, away from the light, away from the light, away from the light. Darkness awaits. Xylophone, embraced in Africa, carried the continent over by minstrels. Years equal the velocity of time. Zen, not today, maybe tomorrow. Rise up, art. Rise up. Thanks. Sometimes I worry, and I think there's others do the same, that maybe we're pushing art down, almost toward a black hole, where gravity's sucking that light from it. And will we let it die like a star? Art has carried history on its back. Art is a siren call. Art is a voice. And the message here today is that maybe if we, all of us, are willing to step a little outside our comfort zone and practice art, dabble in it, we'll gain a greater appreciation for that art that's out there. And just recently, I attended a presentation at the Sarnia Library. It was Larry Towell. Now, many of you will know him, but he is a photojournalist, and his presentation, he has traveled all over the world to war-torn countries for over 40 years. He followed the Central Americans, the flights of the Central Americans right down through to the border wall in Texas. He has filmed and photographed Mennonite people in Canada, United States, and Central America. And he stood up and he used spoken word, and the big screen on that stage carried his music, his lyrics, his poetry, and believe me, does it hit hard. And you hear the whirring of the helicopters, and you hear the bang of guns, and you see the pictures, and then they stay in your head as it's moving through. But you know what was interesting? Because it was so skilled, because of the angles, because of the colors, because of the message within the pictures, I digested it quite easily. But 2 hours later, I had heartburn that no amount of Rolaids could quench. And his last words when he left that stage were, "I just wanted to make you mad." And as I sat in that seat, I wasn't mad. To be honest, I was disgusted, mostly with myself for my ignorance and my naivety. But 2 days later, I got mad. So there in that library auditorium in Sarnia, I saw art rise up. And I believe a lot of the reason I saw it is because I'm so interested in spoken word and presentations, and it drew me in, and by drawing me in, I took his message with me too. So with that now, I'd like to talk about paintings. You talk about carrying history on your back. We've got paintings in caves, paintings on rocks. We've got paintings that we look back hundreds of years later and admire that carried history. Right now, I would like to, in words, describe a painting for you. Now, us, the viewer, when you're looking at this painting, it's like you're down in a bit of a valley looking up at a landscape scene. It's about 18 inches wide, 2 feet long. The bottom third of that painting is black. It's earth. And it's nighttime. And then there's a grove of trees that rises out of that black into a blue sky. And that blue sky has a full moon right in the center. And the white from that full moon is starting to spill out and push towards the edges of that canvas. There are bright stars. They just jump out at you from that canvas. The trees, because it's night, they're black. And they bend up. The outside trees are getting higher than the moon itself. And then as they come in, the trees get smaller until the smallest is right below the moon. It's like they're bringing their hands together in prayer. And when those trees reach the earth, their roots, they shoot out. They're like tiny silver veins. They're like rivers, and they push down, and you can just see them drawing in that moisture, drawing in those nutrients to make the base of that tree stronger so it can grow higher. And in front of that is a bright yellow tent. There's light on in it. You can see the outline of the poles. You could see the zipper, and inside that, there's a little bit of orange just fading through the yellow. There's the mystery. There's the story in that painting. Who's in the tent? Is it a young solo hiker out? Is it a mother with her children? Is it two lovers? That's the mystery. Now, if I go to the bottom right-hand corner of that painting, it says BG24. That's right. Brad Gray painted that in 2024. And I can tell you right now, that is the first painting I believe I've ever done in my entire life. Can you believe it could be that good? Just imagine. Well, really, you shouldn't imagine that it's that good. It really does look like someone painted their first painting in 67 years. I mean, those trees, like the way they arc, they're coniferous trees. They don't have leaves on them because I didn't have a chance to put leaves on or needles on the branches. And they arc. I mean, a coniferous tree doesn't arc like that. And then when they hit the soil, it was like, well, it wasn't that beautiful filament of roots. It was just almost like a white line going down, like a taproot was trying to hold the tree up. It's almost like somebody had dumped a load of fill in and it just came up above the trees. And the tent, no, you wouldn't recognize the tent. Except I told you now, so you might. But the best feedback I had, which always comes, was from my partner, Beth. And she said to me, you know, Brad, she said, it looks like someone has pitched a tent in front of where a forest fire went through. And you know what? It was perfect. So why would I share this with you? Well, it was a young lady who taught us. Oh my, she was a joy. Like, she had this energy, and she taught us how to mix paints. And she'd even take my hand and say, Brad, if you turn your hand this way, you'll get a better angle on your brush. It's just, and what happened is, the first thing that happened to me is I got lost for over 2 hours. And it was beautiful inside this painting. And you know what's so interesting? Think of Jessie from this fellowship. 98 years old, how many paintings she has done, and how many times she's had that beautiful feeling of being lost within her paintings. It's amazing. She knew something that I didn't know. Secondly, as I look at trees differently now, and I realized right away, like, coniferous trees do not grow like this. And deciduous trees, it's like, oh my, it's creative chaos when I look at them. I mean, they stand at angles that defy gravity. They have limbs that defy gravity. And the way they reach for the sun, sometimes it's like, wow, this is crazy. So I see trees now. And thirdly is, I think I feel that connectivity better between us and that natural world. I really do think trees are us and we are trees. And all that came from a little 2-hour session on trying to paint a tree. All of it. And it's something I won't forget, and it's something I hope in the fall that maybe as a congregation we can try it right here in this room. Wouldn't it be special? Just to have that feeling and to share? So, that's painting. Rise up, art. Rise up, painting. Now, how about music? We heard some beautiful music here this morning. Wasn't that playing Steve did of One Tin Soldier amazing? I watched you in that, and you did something that I loved, and you're going to see it in a minute. But I could hear you voicing the words. I saw other people back here. I think I saw Mariah doing it. I saw a whole lot of people. And that was done back in the 1960s. It was actually a Canadian band. I can't really I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. Original Cast. Thank you, Steve. That's who did this. And even today, like when I see people singing that chorus, it almost rings true for any conflict we see today. Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. You can do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it in the end. There won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment day. On the bloody morning after, one tin soldier rides away. any conflict. The other thing I thought of with music was Steve's Beatles tribute. And I went away from that home on my bicycle going, what was so much fun for me in that? Like, it was so much fun. I know I shared in it, as well as Annette and different people around this room did. But I kept thinking about it, and you know what I think it is? I think it's that deciduous tree. I think it was creative and beautiful and a little bit chaotic. And we did it here in this room, and we did it for ourselves. Some of us stepped outside our comfort zone. Most of us were amateur, other than we have Annette and we have Steve, and we definitely have professional level musicians here. But we shared it together. And that's given us a better understanding, my belief, is in lyrics and songs and in music, is just by expressing that. So I'd like to share with you now the lyrics to a song. And this song was written by Pink Floyd. And I found the lighting of the candle interesting today when you talked about homeless. I don't need to tell you about the words in this. It reflects a whole lot of what's going on across this country and across the United States. On the turning away from the pale and the downtrodden and the things that they say that we won't understand, do not accept that what is happening is just a case of others suffering, or you will find that you're joining in the turning away. It is a sin somehow that light is changing to shadow and casting a shroud over all we have known, unaware how their ranks have grown, driven on by a heart of stone. We might find that we're all alone in the dreams of the proud, on the wings of the night, as daytime is stirring, when the voiceless unite in a silent accord, using words that to you will seem strange, mesmerized as they light that flame. Can you feel the new wings of change on the wings of the night? No more turning away from the weak and the weary. No more turning away from the coldness inside. Just a world that we all must share. It is not enough to stand and stare. Is it only a dream that there will be no more turning away? Is it only a dream that there will be no more turning away? Rise up, art.